Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Mobility Matters. I'm your host, Javier Betancourt, Executive Director of the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, or CITT for short. We are the independent agency of Miami-Dade County charged with overseeing your half-penny sales tax for transportation and the implementation of the People's Transportation Plan. Today we have a wonderful guest all the way up from the northern part of our county and got stuck in a little traffic coming down here, but State Representative Felicia Robinson for District 104.
Yes.
Welcome to the program, Representative.
Well, thank you for having me. I truly appreciate what you all do, and I'm just happy to be here.
Well, thank you. So, we're starting a little late because you got stuck in traffic, which is not unusual, especially when you're trying to traverse the length of the county as you did. So what was your journey down here like? What do we need to fix?
Okay. So honestly, we was having the conversation coming down here, the speed lane.
The express lane, right? Was that on 95 or the
on the Palmetto?
On the Palmetto, okay.
I guess I'm just trying to figure out how beneficial is that express lane. Mm-hmm. I think that when we built the expressway, we have the 5 lanes. We did the 5 lanes so that everybody can maneuver. And now they've taken one of them away. Yeah. So now I think that plays a part in our traffic. And the Palmetto is always
the crawl meadow. That's why we go.
And I don't understand why. It said that there was a couple of accidents, but I never saw them.
Right.
And so I really think that we need to just open up all our lanes.
One of the things I have found, actually, since you mentioned it, is there are 2 express lanes, and one of them, for some reason, is closed off. It's got all these barricades and cones. I've never understood why, and it's been like that for a long time now.
I know, and so that's why I didn't get on the express lane. I was going to get on the express lane, but it was a long line going around the bend to 826. So I'm coming from I'm coming from Miami Gardens. So it was a long line to get on the express lane. So I didn't get on the express lane. I realized that the long line was because that lane is closed off. Right. But then after you pass that, then the express lane, it starts moving. But now you're already stuck.
Yeah, that pinch point. Right?
Exactly. So, I have some concerns about the express lane. I like it. I use it a lot.
Sure.
But I have some concerns. I have that concern. I think that it might actually add to our traffic dilemma. And when we talk about money, I think that we're double taxing people.
With the express, now those express lanes, if I'm not wrong, aren't charging yet.
No, not
right.
Exactly.
Not yet, but I believe that is the plan.
But I'm saying with the express lanes in general, I feel like we're double charging because people paid taxes to get the lanes. Right. When we did the expressway, any expansion we do, you're paying for it. And now that we have the different lanes and they express the different things, now they're paying an additional charge.
Right.
So they go, I'm like, I don't know if that seems like it's double taxation.
All right. Well, those are state highways and you're a state representative, so maybe you can make some inquiries.
We're going to have some conversations with that.
So let's take a step back. We kind of jumped straight into traffic woes. And first, we want to learn a little more about you and the district you represent. So tell us a little bit about your district. 104, I know, is the northern part of the county, but generally speaking, what communities does that cover?
So I always tell people that I am your bi-county representative because I actually represent South Broward and North Dade. So my district covers parts of Pembroke Pines, Miramar, and Miami Gardens. It's beneficial because I have a little bit of both worlds, but then it can be exhausting because I'm in both delegations. So that means I have twice the meetings. And I am a representative that try to be accessible. So it spreads me a little thin sometimes. But it's a very lovely district. I have a definitely mixed community. Each community is very unique. And I love it. It's where I grew up. I grew up in Miami Gardens, so in North Dade, and I still live there. But however, if you recall, for old timers that's in our area, we know that because you sit so close to the county line, a lot of times I did my shopping and everything in Broward, in South Broward, in the Miramar area or Pembroke Pines area. And so when we talk about transportation, which when we get to that part, it's very concerning because I always think about how do people maneuver, from, say, South Broward to North Dade, being that we're so close in county. I'm an educator. So I've been with Dade County Public Schools almost 30 years. In November, I'll have 30 years.
Congrats.
And I think about my young students when they graduate. Some of them go away to college, but some of them don't. Some of them don't have transportation. They get a job. So I have a student that say may live in Miramar that gets a job on South Beach, their first, like real job, and don't have a car. How do they get there?
Yeah.
And I know now we're the day of Uber, and you do have bus transportation, but how do we make that a little bit more accessible for our constituents is one of my concerns.
Yeah, we always say that people who are taking transit or trying to get from point A to point B, even in a car, they don't care about jurisdictional boundaries. They don't care about the difference between Miami-Dade County and Broward and city. They just want to get to where they're going, as easily and quickly as possible. It's really only officials and people such as myself, in county government, that think along jurisdictional lines. But really, we have to blur those lines, really get rid of them, put ourselves in the position of the traveler, of the transit user, the rider, and really try to make things as seamless as possible, right?
I totally agree. So getting back to my district, I would say that that's something that's important. I actually remember when I first ran for state office, because my first spill in elected position was in Miami Gardens.
Right.
I literally sat on the second council of the city. I did an 8-year term there. Wow. And transportation was very important to us because we're on that North Corridor, and everyone is always, they remember we have been fighting to get the Metro Rail for decades. For decades. I think, for probably half of my life. But and we still don't have it. However, I will say, especially when we're talking about the CITT, we were able to get some of those dollars, and we do have the city buses that trolley system, whatever, which has been very beneficial. So we're doing what we can on our end. However, I really don't think that it should take as long as it takes. And I know that the state definitely has a part in it for us to make the type of transportation moves that we need to have, for the people. So I'm hoping that we'll get it right. That's one of the things that motivated me to come to Tallahassee.
Okay.
Was to actually, not just transit, but transit was one of my topics, but to kind of make sure that at the state level, they understand local government, make that connection. Getting there, I understand, they understand it. They still don't necessarily want to play right, but I do my best to, merge us together and to make a true impact, because things like transportation, like you said, a lot of the streets and a lot of things come from the state, but who does it affect most?
Right.
Our local government.
And listen, we're the most dense, most populated part of the state. And so we're kind of a bit of a unicorn, right, statewide. Do people in Tallahassee understand how different we are? And for instance, why transit is so much more important here than other parts of the state? Because I would imagine that in other parts of the state, it's still the car's king.
Exactly.
And what is this transit nonsense, right? Do they understand how important that is to Miami-Dade, and do they support it?
Honestly, I don't think so. I don't, and I'm a little concerned on whether they don't understand or they just don't necessarily care. Because when we look at it, when it comes to the dollars, they understand that. They understand that there's money there, and so they want to have their hand in that portion. And I say that because when we're dealing with MDX, they wanted to take that because they know that it's money there. But when it comes to making sure we have additional transportational things, they're slow on providing or assisting in getting that done. I personally feel that we should have some type of transportation or route that's central. When we talk about 27th Avenue,
right,
that should go at least to 595. You think about all the things we have, you have Nova University, now you have FAU, you have all these different universities and things that runs along that corridor, and us being counties that's right next to each other, we have a lot of people that need to get back and forth that way. And I know people always say, well, we have the Bright Line and we have the Tri-Rail. However, both of them are on the east.
Right.
So when we have
and Bright Line, frankly, isn't affordable to
exactly.
most people. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, and then when we talk about all the people we have out west or just in the central area, it doesn't benefit you. I have one of my workers lives west. It takes her literally 20 minutes to get to the Tri-Rail.
Right.
You know, so there's a lot that we can do there. And I'm hoping that, you know, when I first got in, I went in 2020. So I'm a pandemic rep. And so although transportation was something that I really wanted to target right then, it wasn't the time. Mm-hmm. You know, we wasn't thinking about.
There were other priorities.
Exactly. Yeah. There were other priorities. Things are balancing out now. And I'm hoping that we'll have an opportunity to bring that to their attention. I'm really excited because this year as we go in, the Speaker of the House is from the 305.
That's right.
305. So if anyone can get them to understand what we need, I'm positive he can.
We have the levers of power in our hand. Let's utilize it.
And
right?
so that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that...
and that's Danny Perez.
That's Danny Perez, yeah. Speaker Perez. And so I'm hoping that, you know, we can use our voice and really give some attention to how unique we are. We're definitely unique in transportation, but there's so many different things when we talk about housing and different things that we are unique when it's related to the rest of the state that, you know, we can hopefully get them to buy into and understand that we need a little bit different. And that's what I say when I say I try to get the state, as a state elected official, I try to get them to recognize what is needed locally or how local government works, because we are different.
Yeah.
We have, you know, all these different counties in the state, and they're all unique. And so it can't always be a one thing fits all.
Right. And lest it go unsaid, I do have to give credit. You know, I was talking about Tallahassee in the state, but our local FDOT district has been very supportive of transit. I want to give a shout out to Stacy Miller, our district secretary, and her team. But they have given millions of dollars in grants to, for instance, the South Corridor, and they are the project lead on the North Corridor, and they're recommending Metro Rail and trying to work towards that. So I do want to distinguish our local FDOT district from what may be going in Tallahassee. Right?
And I would totally agree, because of several times I have, even when I was in local government and since I've been here, if I give them a call, they're always willing to come out, explain, give us a conversation. So I definitely agree with you there, that they work with us.
So the North Corridor obviously is extraordinarily important to you and your district. It's important to us at the CITT, to the county overall. But that is a Miami-Dade project. And so the idea is we'll take Metro Rail from the existing Metro Rail line at MLK along 27th Avenue to the Broward line. Now, since you have 1 foot planted in Broward County, what happens then? What are the Broward County's plans that you may be aware of for extending transit along what they call University Drive at that point, right? North to FAU. Are there plans?
I don't know if there's any definite plans, but the conversation is being had.
Okay.
So they're not as far as long as we are in having, you know, those plans, but we've started talking about it. And I think that if we can get it to Broward, we can get it to County Line, I definitely believe that they will connect with us and take it the rest of the way.
Okay.
Because they understand that it's beneficial. Yeah. It's beneficial for all.
And they have a full penny now, which they adopted a few years ago.
Exactly.
So they certainly have their local match, as we do.
And they're, I think it's the MPO, the MPO. They
Greg Stewart.
They're beginning to work. You know, well, I guess they've always been working, but they're moving a little faster now.
Right.
So
going back to your role as educator, tell us a little more about that. What do you teach? What are you doing now with the school system?
Okay, so like I said earlier, that I'll have 30 years in Miami-Dade County Public School in November. And I started off in the classroom. I did 16 years as a math teacher in high school, various schools, enjoyed it thoroughly. Then I did about another 6 years as a math instructional coach. So that's actually working with the teachers to look at their student data and give them strategy on how to improve and things like that, curriculum-wise. And these last several years, I've actually been an administrator. I'm an assistant principal at Miami Springs Senior High.
Miami Springs.
Yes. And
my dad went there.
Yeah, okay, so once a hawk, always a hawk. Okay, and so it's enjoyable. I truly can say that education for me is, you can't do without it. It's the most powerful thing that we have. Mm-hmm. I sometimes get upset because I don't think that we value it the way we should. And when I say that, that's in how we put money into it and how we actually pay attention to what's really happening. However, what I can say is working with the students is amazing and it's rewarding. That's what I look forward to most. I just yesterday I was at a candidate forum, you know, and a parent came up to me, showed me a picture of her son. He just got promoted to major in the Army, exactly, and I was his math tutor, you know, and it made me feel proud because, you know, I told him he should have went into engineering. He didn't go into engineering; he went into the military, but he works with engineers,
right?
You know, so
Army Corps of Engineers,
exactly,
the best engineers on the planet,
exactly.
Right?
So just having that feel of having a part in what people's future are. But for me, as an educator, what I find is even in my leadership role as an elected official, I do a lot of education. Mm-hmm. So when I was at the city level, I started these meetings called Meet Me Monday. I would have them every second Monday, and I brought my constituents out, and we would talk about, I would first address their concerns. So I would have code enforcement there, I would have police there, and I would address whatever concerns they have dealing with the city. But then I also would bring in people to make them better advocates for themselves. So we've talked about things about finances, I brought an attorney that talks about how when your child's in school, how you making sure that they get the benefits that they need if they were disabled, right, or things like that. Just
real
anything.
Practical concerns, yeah.
Exactly. I always brought in someone that was going to make you a better advocate for yourself. Okay. So we did concerns for the city, give you some information, and then I'm big on health. So one year I partnered with the American Heart Association. We did their Empower to Serve program. Mm-hmm. Another year we did, I partnered with the Black Nurses Association, and they would each month bring us something on health, because I believe that if you're not healthy, everything else you do doesn't matter. You know?
That's the foundation.
Exactly. So those were the three components of the meeting. Of course, I fed them because it got people there. But what it did is it made them become good advocates for themselves. And I brought that up on education because when people know better, they do better whether they want to or not. Right. They can't help it. And so as a leader, I intentionally try to educate my constituents on what's going on so that they can be better advocates for themselves. Taking it back to local government, one time I had the city attorney come in and talk to them about quasi-judicial. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, people will come to council meeting and we're voting on a zoning item and they want us just to vote the way they want to vote, not recognizing that, hey, there's certain things we have to do. And after I explained it to them,
there's a process, there are property rights, there are all
exactly.
sorts of things.
So the same thing I do on the state level. I try to have I don't do the Meet Me Mondays no more, but I do other meetings.
It's hard to meet you in Tallahassee. It's a long
exactly.
Long drive.
But I do try to, when I'm home, or, you know, sometimes I do it by Zoom, I try to do things that's going to educate my constituents about what's going on. When I come back from Tallahassee, I do what I call a Felicia fact sheet. And I take several of the bills that have passed off the floor that's waiting for the governor to sign, and I just tell them what it's going to do. Yeah. You know, no kind of particular way, just saying, hey, if this passes, this is what you should expect.
Just informing people.
Exactly. Informing people and educating them, because hoping that that's going to get them to be engaged. That's the one thing that I find. We tend to get people a little bit more engaged on a local level. But when it comes to Tallahassee, I guess because we're in Tallahassee, people are not as engaged, at least not the way I think that they should be, which really matters because what happens there affects them too.
Yeah. No, I have found that it's hard for people in Miami-Dade to understand what's happening because it's so far away. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's such a different world. You know?
But
and I know there have been times when they talked about moving the capital to Orlando to be more central, but I guess that's never going to happen, right?
Well, what I will tell them is that they have the Florida channel, and it shows all of our committees and our on the floor actions live. So you're not there, and I know it's hard for you to pay attention, but it's really, really important for people to pay attention. Right. I have this saying that I started saying a couple of years ago, and I say it all the time. I say, Florida is mine, the M-I-N-E. Mm-hmm. And I say it's mine because we have to take ownership. Yeah. If you own something, like you have on this nice blue blazer, and I just take it from you, you want to just let me have it? No, because it's yours, right?
I might let you.
You might let me. But I can be persuasive, and it kind of matches my outfit. I understand. But in general, yeah. Well, what kind of car you drive? Huh? What kind of car you drive?
GMC Sierra.
Okay, so you gonna let me have that?
No. You're taking my GMC.
And so what I'm saying is, it's yours. You take ownership of it. So you want to protect it. You probably get it washed, and want the tires looking good. All those things. So we have to start thinking about Florida in that instance.
Right.
It's ours. We own it. When you own something, you have to be engaged in the process. Mm-hmm. You have to be willing to protect it. You have to be willing to fight for it sometimes. You got to be willing to do all these things. And if you don't, then you're giving it to someone else. Yeah. If you leave your keys in your car and leave the door open, and you come in here, you told the person that was walking by, hey, you can have this. And so when they take it, so.
That's a great perspective.
Exactly. So I do that a lot. And I do that by trying to just educate people about what's going on. Because like I said, when people know better, they're going to do better.
Right. Knowledge is power, right?
Knowledge is power.
I speak in terms like bumper sticker sayings, by the way. I don't know if you've noticed that about me.
Yeah, but knowledge is power.
So let's get back to Tallahassee for a second. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the things that you've been advocating for, some of the bills that you're trying to push? Like what is your focus up there right now?
Okay, so like my number one focus...
We're not getting into politics. We don't do
No, we're not getting into politics. This is policy. And most of my policy is beneficial for people. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I think it should be. I don't care whether you are anything. You don't have to be a part of a party. It's going to benefit people. So my number one priority, believe it or not, has been a local issue. It has been the municipal rate bill that we've been struggling with in Miami Gardens since I was elected in 2010 in Miami Gardens, since then. And so what has happened is, the state has a statute that states that if you are a municipality and you are serving water to another municipality, you can charge them up to 25% surcharge for that expense. Well, we're in a very unique situation because Miami Gardens, we were incorporated in 2003. Right. The water plant that sits in our city, on our land, in our grounds, is owned by North Miami Beach.
Interesting.
Very, right?
I didn't know that.
Well, and the reason is that was because we were unincorporated Dade. Right. So I did a whole lot of research on this. And back in the day, all of your utility companies were private. They were literally private. And when the private companies went out, they sold, like Opelika has a water plant. It was sold to Opelika. North Miami Beach bought the one that was in Miami Gardens because we were unincorporated. And Dade County bought a lot of the other ones. Okay? And so City of Miami Gardens is actually water is serviced by those three cities, North Miami Beach, Miami-Dade County, and Opelika. However, the North Miami Beach plant actually sits in our city. Now, Miami-Dade County nor Opelika charges us that 25% surcharge, but North Miami Beach does. And the problem with that is that, let's be realistic. The statute says that you can charge up to a 25% surcharge, but that was mainly because they thought that you were going to have to run pipes and get the water to these other cities.
Put the infrastructure in place. Sure.
But that's not the case because the water, the aquifer, and everything sits in our city. So it literally costs them more money to take the money back to the North Miami Beach residents than it does us. But they charge our residents a 25%.
I was going to ask, so the charge is on the residents. The city's not paying
for it. No, the city's not paying for it. But that's a big strain.
Yeah. No, that's a huge percentage.
On our residents. And they've been doing it for years. And we have, when I was on the council, we've tried to talk to them. We've had mediation down at the county. We've done all these things, and they will not budge. Initially, we were trying to just get them to lower the charge. Right. They will not budge. So in Tallahassee, that's my number one bill, is for them, and I actually was very fair about it. I didn't say that they had to remove the surcharge. I simply stated my legislation is that they should charge our residents the same fee that they're charging their residents. And I'm proud and not proud. I'm proud that the bill passed all of the committees in the House unanimously. It passed all of the committees in the Senate unanimously. However, politics definitely came into play, and we had someone that had enough pull, they've been there longer than me, that they actually stopped it on the Senate side, that it didn't make it to the floor. But I am going to bring it back. It'll be back, and this is another thing that I say people need to pay attention, because this is an unintended consequence, and all I'm trying to do is correct it, because everyone that hears it says it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You know, and so.
Look, and at a time, and I'm not advocating for anything here, but I do want to point out affordability is obviously a major issue in Miami-Dade County. It's especially now with hyperinflation, it's become increasingly difficult to afford to live here.
The necessities.
Right? And so, you know, we should be doing everything we can to try and lower the cost, you know, of living in Miami-Dade County. If housing is going to be expensive, then it's incumbent on us to try and lower other expenses so that they have money to spend on housing.
Exactly.
It's one of the reasons we promote transit.
Exactly.
You could get rid of a car. Think of all the money you're saving. That
exactly.
You can then put
insurance
into
and everything.
So utilities are right up there.
Exactly. And so, so that's like my number one bill. And like I said, I'm proud that it did get as far as it did. And I'm thinking that I'm working now, to take it across the board, because it's an unintended consequence. Right. And how do you charge the same residents? So let's look at this. One time we had to do some infrastructure things. It's in the middle of a neighborhood. So when you're doing construction and you're thinking, you know, I don't know if they were taking the water is going out, the same residents that's being inconvenienced for you to do all this infrastructure stuff is the same ones that you're overcharging. But the residents in North Miami Beach don't get this 25% surcharge, but they're getting water that's in the aquifer under our ground. One more thing I want to add to that is it sits in the city, but because it's owned by a government entity, the city doesn't get any taxes on it. So that's my number one. Another bill that I'm very passionate about is, I told you I was passionate about health. I believe that people need to be healthy. And so I support an organization called ASAP. It's the Advanced Sickle Cell Project. And so sickle cell, you're familiar with sickle cell?
Yes.
Sickle cell is a disease that really affects people of color. And when I say people of color, that's African Americans, that's Hispanics. You have, okay. And so it's a lot of research has been going into it lately, which I'm very excited about and happy. However, one of the things that's being overlooked is these people, they go through crisis. And a lot of times when they go into crisis, they have to go to the emergency room. Well, a lot of times when they go to the emergency room, they're actually mistreated. And they're mistreated because, what we've come up with, and not when I say I, not me, because I've been working along with some doctors from UM and Memorial and things, is that your emergency room doctor or doctors that don't work with these patients on a regular basis don't necessarily, are not as aware of the different things that they need to get through this crisis. And so one of the bills that I've been putting out that I put out this year that actually passed committees. It didn't make it to the floor, but it did pass its committees. It is to add, you know how doctors or practitioners, because it's not just for doctors, for all medical practitioners have to renew their license, to have a course that they would take, a 2-hour course in sickle cell.
Okay.
So that all medical practitioners will know. I had one of the
back to your thing, right? Knowledge is
power. You know, because I have heard patients that in crisis but didn't want to go to the emergency room. So they're in pain, but because of how they're treated when they get there, didn't want to go. I had another young lady that actually came to Tallahassee and testified. She's a sickle cell. She has sickle cell, and she was going to have some type of eye surgery or something like that. But it had to be postponed once she was there getting ready, and it was prepping her. But when they found out she had sickle cell, they had to postpone it because they had to make sure that, I guess, this went with that, or, you know, some technical stuff or whatever, or medical stuff. But it's just really a need, because if, you know, when sickle cell patients are being treated by their sickle cell doctors, they're getting excellent care. But when they're in situations where they may have to be treated by another practitioner, a lot of times they're just not knowledgeable. And not saying that the 2-hour course is going to, you know, solve all, but like you said, it's a step in the right direction. So that's 1, 2, and
So I know you've been working. Anything new that you're going to be kind of focusing on moving forward?
Okay, so
getting that express lane on the Palmetto.
So that, like I said, so now I think it is a appetite, or it's a little bit more open for us to look at transportation. And so I don't think this session, probably not, but I have another term after this. And I will start talking to FDOT in Tallahassee about some things for transportation. 2 things I want. I do want that to go all the way up to 595 is something I would like to see personally. And then locally, and I don't know if this would be, well, we'd probably be something in conjunction. In Miami Gardens, we have had a conversation, me and one of the council persons, about doing a bridge over 27th Avenue, right there on 199.
Okay.
We don't know if it's feasible, but we're looking at it, because all that traffic at the stadium, people walking across.
You talking about pedestrian bridge, or like
pedestrian?
Okay.
Pedestrian.
Yes. Yeah.
So, you know.
Is the stadium in your district?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's exciting. Become a year-round destination, right?
Yes, it is, and I'm very proud of that.
A lot of impacts that come along with that.
A lot of impacts, and very proud of what the stadium has done. I mean, I literally. I've seen the stadium all my life. Yeah. I mean, well, you know, I got to see it be built, you know, when I went back, Joe Robbie.
Yeah.
You know?
I still call it Joe Robbie.
You know, so I have seen it grow, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But the key is, how does the community benefit from its presence there, right? And so leveraging that amazing asset.
Exactly.
So that it benefits the community.
And I think we haven't always benefited, but I would say that as we continue to grow as a community, they're growing with us.
Yeah.
Right now, I believe we have a really, really good partnership with the stadium, and they're definitely a good ally.
Great. Now we just need the Dolphins to win a few more games and get us into the Super Bowl.
Well, you know.
We'll all be happy.
I'm not really a sports person, but I do support the Dolphins.
Yeah, of course.
I actually I support them all day.
You got it.
Yeah. And so, and when you talk about the stadium is one of the people that is on that North Miami Beach water.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I'm sure they use a lot of water too.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I try to put everybody in on the conversation and make everybody aware that, look, do y'all realize this is what's happening?
Right. So listen, we are running out of time, but I know that you're involved with some organizations, and just want to give you an opportunity to speak about a couple of those and give them a shout out. Okay,
well, most happily. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Nobel Women. I don't know how many people are familiar with it, but Nobel Women is the National Organization of Black Elected Legislative Women. We are Black women that are in the House or Assembly or Senate across the United States. The exact number, I think we have about 343 of us, something like that at this time. And we come together to have one voice because we believe that it's power in unity. Absolutely. And so we are actually will be having our annual legislative conference this year in August. And we talk about different resolutions and things that we can actually speak about that's going to affect people across the United States. and then we take them back to our individual states and we advocate for them. We fight for them in the forms of, we usually do resolutions at our conference, we talk about it, and then we go back to our states and try to come up with legislation that make it better. So I'm very proud of the work that we do there. I'm also a part of Center for Family and Child Enrichment. That is a local organization here that we do child welfare. So we have a big component of in the child welfare system. We have a community health center and behavioral health. I would say out of all the organizations that I am a part of, it's like my favorite one because it touches on everything. Personally, my mom was a foster parent. After I went away to college, she decided she wanted more kids in the house, and she became a foster parent for a while. However, she ended up not staying a foster parent for long, but she adopted my 3 younger siblings. My 3 younger brothers and sisters were adopted out of foster care. And it's such a need for people to get involved. And so I'm very passionate about that. And then we have the Community Health Center. What makes that so amazing is because, like I said earlier, if you're not healthy, then nothing else really matters. And having a community health center is very beneficial. It allows those that do not have insurance, that may not have money, to actually seek health care, which is important, which is needed. And so if you're not— It all
starts with your health. We've said that.
It all starts with your health. And if you're not familiar with how community health centers work, it's on a scale. So they have to see you regardless. It's almost like, Jackson Hospital. So they see you. And then if you have insurance, they use the insurance. If you don't have insurance, then you're on a pay scale based upon how much you can afford. And so I encourage people to don't stay home. I'm a big person that support breast cancer, survivors and research. And too many times I've had women, and I've actually met a couple of men that have had breast cancer, that they didn't check on it early enough.
And it makes all the difference.
Exactly. It makes a huge difference.
Sure.
So I always encourage people to use the things that's afforded to you that you can use. We have several community health centers in Miami-Dade County. Center for Family and Child Enrichment is just one. But if you need health care, please go out and do that. And the last part of that organization is behavioral health.
Yeah.
And we know that if the pandemic didn't do anything else, it told us a lot about mental health and, taking care of yourself mentally.
It's still a taboo in this country, right? I mean, and less so as time goes on, but it's extraordinarily important.
How do we change that?
Yeah.
We have conversations about it. And so that's why we bring it up. That's why we try to educate. And that's why we make it accessible.
That's it. Knowledge is power.
There you go. When you know better.
So I'm going to get you a bumper sticker.
You do better. Well, I want mine to say, when you know better, you do better.
Okay. We'll get you 2 bumper stickers.
Okay.
Well, listen, and by the way, what's the best sorority in the country?
Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated.
All right. Fighting words for some of you out there, but I had to give you that opportunity.
Thank you.
Representative, thank you so much for being my guest, and thank you for everything that you do, both as an elected official, as an educator, and your philanthropy and all your other efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. And thank you all for watching. Once again, you can find us here out of Community Newspaper Studios in South Miami every other Thursday from 9 to 10 a.m. And we do want to thank our partners here at Community Newspapers for hosting and producing this program. If you're interested in learning more about what we do at the CITT, perhaps becoming a member of the CITT or a CITT ambassador, you can learn more on our website, www.miamidade.gov/CITT. In the meantime, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you back here in a couple of weeks.